Top 10 Most Underrated TV Series That Barely Anyone Knows.
What the hell is this?
Friday, what are they firing at?
Something just entered the upper atmosphere.
You don't turn your back on them.
Number 10. Bored to Death. A well-meaning but struggling writer decides to lead a sort of double life by pretending to be a private detective using the methods he read about in old detective novels. Jonathan Ames, Jason Schwartzman, is an aimless writer inspired to become a private investigator. The stories center around him and his two friends bumbling around. Ray Houston, Zach Galifianakis, is a pot-smoking cartoonist with ever-frustrated overbearing girlfriend Leah, Heather Burns. George Christopher, Ted Danson, is the wise, older editor. This is an absurdist comedy. Ames is pathetic and only out-pathetic by Zach Galifianakis' antics. Ted Danson gives a crazy performance from a different perspective. It's a crazy wacky world of overdrinking pot haze. While I love the guys, the comedy is a bit dark and definitely not your average sitcom. It's not to everyone's taste and a bit of hit and miss. Luckily it's more hit than miss. Sometimes I wince at their pitifulness. Mostly we're allowed to laugh at them. It's certainly not your average comedy.
My thoughts feel buttery.
Number 9. Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. This parody series is an unearthed 80s horror/drama, complete with poor production values, awful dialogue and hilarious violence. The series is set in a hospital in Romford, which is situated over the gates of hell. I agree up to a certain extent with many of the comments from persons that Garth Marenghi's Dark Place is amusing but have got to disagree that it is some sort of instant modern-day classic. True, it might be a masterpiece compared to Three Non-Blondes and About Me and that painfully bad sitcom starring Amanda Holden from a few weeks back, but neither is Dark Place up there with Bio Selecta. Take the final episode, whose plot mirrors Tobe Hooper's life force very closely, so much so that a scene involving the two heroes looking up at the sky is directly stolen from a scene where Carlson and Kane look across a burning London where the souls of the vampire victims drift up into the sky. I also notice a couple of lines stolen from Hellraiser, and seeing as the show is supposed to be from the 1980s, we get musical interludes a la Miami Vice. All this is very amusing to a great extent if you're a film buff or if you've spent your formative years in the 1980s, but it also means there is a limited mileage from the joke which is in danger of becoming tiresome very quickly.
Seems like a regular burial rig. Do you really buy this portal to hell deal?
I wouldn't say I buy it, Liz. Let's just say I'm window shopping. And right now there's a half-price sale on Weird.
Number 8. The Killing. A police investigation, the saga of a grieving family, and a Seattle mayoral campaign all interlock after the body of 17-year-old Rosie Larson is found in the trunk of a submerged car. The first 2 seasons deal with the murder of 17-year-old Rosie Larson. There are family secrets, a mayoral campaign, and police work. That Sarah Linden, Mary Enos, is supposed to be on her last day. She is hoping to start a new life with her son and her fiancé. But when Rosie's murder case turns up, the sketchy dead Stephen Holder, Joel Kinnaman, gets the case, and Sarah decides to delay her departure. The show is a moody, dark, deliberate police drama. The political side is done well by Billy Campbell as mayoral candidate Darren Richmond. The moody atmosphere is half the show. The other half is the good actors. The big disappointment happened when the murder wasn't solved by the end of the first season. It was solved in the second season. The third season had a whole different crime and the show is cancelled at the end of that season. While the dark tone is great, the slow pace is just too much for most viewers. Mary Enos is a good actress, but she may not be powerful enough to drive the show. Number 7. Travelers. Hundreds of years from now, surviving humans discover how to send consciousness back through time into people of the 21st century while attempting to change the path of humanity. Marcy Wharton, Mackenzie Porter, is mentally handicapped and David Mailer, Patrick Gilmore, is her caseworker. Trevor Holden, Jared Abrahamson, is hiding his underground MMA fighting from his parents. Philip Pearson, Riley Dolman, is a high school drug addict. Carly Shannon, Nesta Cooper, has a baby and is hounded by her abusive baby daddy cop Jeff Koniker. FBI agent Grant McLaren, Eric McCormack, is investigating strange encrypted messages on the dark web. Each one gets possessed by a traveler from the future at the point of their historical deaths. In the future, humanity is barely hanging on after a catastrophe. Survivors are following the grand plan, created by the computer AI called the Director, to travel back in time and avert the pending catastrophe. A rival faction rises up fighting to regain free will for humanity. Vincent, Enrico Colantoni, is Traveler 001 who failed at his mission and is hiding from the director after carving a wealthy present-day life. It's always great to have a thinking sci-fi show. It is a great combo of character study, sci-fi apocalypse, and time-traveling goodness. I love the movie Transfers, and this has many of the same elements. McCormack is a solid lead, and this has a lot of good actors. It's a Canadian show that is distributed by Netflix. It never really got any big buzz other than McCormack hawking it on his talk show appearances. It couldn't gain a big enough audience and it's cancelled after 3 seasons. Number 6. Haven. Sci-fi show where Emily Rose plays an FBI agent sent to a small Maine town to deal with weirdness. More awesome weirdness ensues. As with everything based in Maine, it is based on a Stephen King story. FBI agent Audrey Parker, Emily Rose, is sent to Haven, Maine on a case of a prison escapee. She finds help from local cop Nathan Wernos, Lucas Bryant, and petty criminal smuggler Duke Crocker, Eric Bolfer. The town is plagued by strange occurrences. People are cursed by these troubles, and she is connected to them in some way. I really like the show, the mystery, and the 3 leads. I like the actors and their love triangle. I actually like the trouble of the week aspect of those early shows. The mystery seems intriguing, and it's also the show's Achilles heel. At some point, the show has to start explaining the origins of the troubles. It's too convoluted. I respect the difficulties of trying to keep viewers' interest while constructing a viable story. In the end, it doesn't quite make it, but it was fun while it lasted.
And then there's one right underneath that.
Number 5. Reaper. On his 21st birthday, Sam discovers his parents sold his soul to the devil before birth, and he must now be a bounty hunter for the devil until he dies.
Alright, I'll make some breakfast.
Happy birthday. I want you to have a wonderful day. No matter what happens.
Okay, Mom.
On his 21st birthday, Sam, Brett Harrison, discovers his parents sold his soul to the devil, Ray Wise, before his birth. Now he must be a bounty hunter for the devil to catch dangerous escapees from hell. His best friends and co-workers Bert Sock, Wysocki, Tyler Labini, and Ben Gonzalez, Rick Gonzalez, are there to help with his demonic tasks. All the while, he pines for his co-worker Andy Prendergast, Missy Peregrine. There's a lot of fun from this show. The premise is interesting, and it has good possibilities. Most of the fun comes from Tyler Labini, and the chemistry between the friends is quite good. Also outstanding is Ray Wise, who is outrageous as the devil.
Andy out. She's smart, she's hot, she goes to college, she works at a crap shack like this with losers like me and you. What does that tell you? Just off the top of your head.
She's got low standards?
Exactly.
Number 4. Brockmire. Hank Azaria plays a washed-up baseball broadcaster who had an on-air meltdown and disappears for 10 years, then returns for a minor league contract in a backwater coal and fracking town. The show is so funny that we have to pause it when we are laughing too hard because we miss the next few minutes of jokes in the show and we got tired of rewinding every time. It's 2007. Kansas City Major League Baseball announcer Jim Brockmire, Hank Azaria, goes on a drunken rant about catching his wife Lucy in a sex orgy. His meltdown becomes legendary. 10 years later, he returns to America to start working for the minor league team Morristown Frackers in Pennsylvania owned by Jules James, Amanda Peet. After revealing the premise, I assumed this to be a show like Northern Exposure. It never got to do a town full of quirky characters. The show keeps moving around, which keeps his relationships in disjointed chemistry. It never settles down. Jim and Jules remain the most compelling part of the show. Jim is interesting, but he's really a one-note character. The show stalls out somewhere over the 2nd and 3rd seasons. It runs on at a low gear and then the final season empties the tank. I like Beth. I love the flash forwards. Limon is insane. I love the dystopian comedy aspect and its commentary on baseball. It gets weird and becomes something more.
You think I'm ever gonna be remembered for anything except for the worst moments of my life?
You're brutal, Brockmire, to the day you die.
Number 3. Defiance. Defiance is an American science fiction western drama television series developed by Rockne S. O'Bannon, Kevin Murphy, and Michael Taylor. The series is produced by Universal Cable Productions. The show takes place in a post-apocalyptic future on a radically transformed Earth containing new species, some having arrived from space, many others the result of haphazard contamination by the terraforming technology used by the alien race Votans, which has transformed native flora and fauna in unforeseen ways. The story begins in the year 2046 when Earth has been considerably changed, with new topography, the extinction of plant and animal species, and the emergence of new species. The series follows Joshua Nolan, Grant Bowler, his adopted alien daughter Irisa, Stephanie Leonidas, and the town's new mayor, Amanda Rosewater, Julie Benz, in addition to an ensemble of actors portraying different characters in the growing town in the city-state of Defiance, built on the ruins of St. Louis.
1,000, how will we live? We will protect you.
Number 2. Dead Like Me. After being hit on the head by a toilet seat, a young temp clerk becomes a Grim Reaper in death. This is a great show due to an amazingly bizarre but interesting plot as well as terrific writing. Unfortunately, though, the show ran on Showtime and many people had no idea it was on or what it was about, so it never really caught on with the public. In addition, since it was on Showtime, some people in charge thought it was really important to infuse the show with very colorful and adult language, making the show unsuitable for children. It's really a shame, as apart from a lot of F words and a bit of adult content, this is a great show and should have been more widely recognized.
She passes on to the rest of us Grim Reapers.
ETD. Estimated time of death.
Number 1. Lovesick. Former name, Scrotal Recall. After finding out he has an STD, Dylan must get back in touch with every girl he has ever had sex with to let them know the bad news. Their stories are told alongside those of his best friends Evie and Luke. This brilliantly funny series is about Dylan, a young man whose chlamydia results in his needing to contact his ex-lovers to warn them. Each episode involves a call then a flashback as we see a time in which Dylan either bedded or broke up with his girl of the week. The series is very funny, with sharp writing and sometimes intricate plotting. All the episodes fit together like a jigsaw puzzle, so as the series progresses we fill in more pieces and get a greater understanding of the principles.